Hey guys, it's Robert Gardner and the Robert Gardner Wellness Podcast. I have Alyssa Lopez with a Z, correct?
Yeah, with the
I
Z.
always sometimes they spell it with an S, but anyway,
That's true. Yes.
I have Alyssa Lopez here. We were going to have a conversation. I think, if I remember correctly, we come up with a couple of themes that we were dealing with pretty regularly. Are you laughing at me?
I'm laughing at the fact that, if you can remember all the things that we were going to talk
So
about.
there's two things that come up regularly. One, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, was why do massage therapists not start cooperatives? And two, and this is the one I'm really like. The first one I think is pretty concise. We'll deal with that. The second one was like, oh man, I almost feel weird saying it because I'm like, this is going to cause trouble. Is like decolonizing your massage practice.
Right.
And
Yeah.
there was a post. Did you see this post in a Facebook group recently?
I don't know if I did.
Oh, dude, there was a post in a Facebook group, and I'm like, whoop! Somebody came in like stuck a match in the powder keg and didn't like what come out. So
Fun.
we'll start with cooperatives and
Okay.
maybe discuss that.
Yeah.
And I think the conversation we were having is you were essentially just asking why massage therapists in the industry, why they don't have cooperatives.
Yeah. Yeah. That's definitely, it was a question that mostly for my own personal selfish reasons, just personal. I would like to start a cooperative, but realistically, it's like, okay, if I were to do all LMTs, I don't know how the heck we're supposed to get the funding for that, the capital right off the bat. But also just coming together in order to do that sounds really difficult. So that's why I was more leaning towards like, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen with like a more integrative, like not just massage therapists within this same cooperative.
So why couldn't you do it just with massage therapists?
One, because of lack of capital, like lack of funding, money from
massage
just
therapists. Many of them, if they work independently, they're already paying rent. Why
Right.
wouldn't they collaboratively pay rent?
Yeah. That I, I don't know. Do we not play nicely? Is that it? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out. I think there's a button on my headphones that helps me turn this little microphone off here.
Okay.
Well, hold on. I'll take it off.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay. I was gonna say I could see the light was on, so now it's off.
No, it's just I don't know. I got multiple audio signals and microphones going over here, and I just realized that was on, and I just wanted to turn it off because I pressed a button on it. So, massage therapists, and I have to discuss it from Austin because I don't pay attention to rent in Dallas.
Yeah.
Or rent in San Antonio. What is like average rent in San Antonio for a studio? One therapist.
For one therapist, I mean, it varies, but if you want to be in like the areas where actual like being in neighborhoods where there is a higher median income, I mean, I guess like $800 for a small studio.
And I'll round it up to 1,000,
Yeah.
which is kind of what Austin is.
Okay.
And it's a regular conversation I have with people. You rent studio space, right?
I do, yes.
What is your rent, if you don't mind me asking?
It's a little bit different because I'm a part of a collective. So it's like we all have this space. And so being a member of the collective, honestly, I'm only paying $86 a month.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, that's a benefit. I understand why.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, my rent.
Zero. Yeah.
Well, I have a home studio. So
Yeah.
my rent is a tax write-off for my business because this is my office.
Yeah.
And
Very
that is
convenient.
my studio, and square footage and stuff is wrote off on the rent.
Yeah. Yeah.
I came up with this a while back, and there was much irritation from massage therapists when I was recommending having a home studio. One, because 85% of massage therapists are women, and women don't feel safe having a home studio and having their address. And I'm like, ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a gender bias that I've got to figure out. And I'm like, okay, listen, I understand that you feel you can't have a home studio, but I want you to express the $12,000 a year you're spending that you could save
Yeah.
and invest in your business.
Yeah.
And one young lady was like south of San Francisco, I think, and hers was like, it was like $1,800 a month or something. It was some inordinately high.
Yeah.
She's like, I could never have a home studio. That is completely unprofessional. And I'm like, but it sounds like you could run ads for $24,000 a year if you get rid of the rent. Now, the question about cooperatives, and it's like, I don't have an issue. I think it complicates the matter if you're going to talk about cooperatives in terms of having other wellness practitioners and yoga teachers and personal trainers and acupuncturists and chiropractors or whoever working together. But like, I've always wondered this: why did massage therapists not get together?
Yeah,
they figure out the rent is $5,000 or something, and there's 10 of them, and then they're each paying $500, but they're now getting a much larger space with more robust amenities. They're splitting the Wi-Fi. They're splitting the Spotify account or whatever. Yeah. And there was never an answer for that.
Yeah.
Keep Austin weird. Keep Austin weird. And Keep Austin Weird is a local business thing where they wanted small businesses to thrive because that was the weird part of Austin that we're trying to keep. And I'm like, simultaneously, I would see two things that absolutely blew my mind. Every independent massage therapist in Austin was complaining that they didn't have enough clients. And then every massage facility was trying to hire. And I go, how are those things workable like at the same time?
The same time, yeah.
How does that work? Does anybody else see that and see that there's a discrepancy? And the bottom line is, I think, in my years of looking at it, as an independent therapist, you have to go above and beyond to be able to create a rapport with the public and then to get public trust.
Yeah.
When you operate like me out of your home, people are like, I don't know who this dude is. Like, I don't know. I'm a guy. Like, they're coming into a strange man's home to like get a session.
To get a session, yeah.
So I use the internet to go above and beyond and create that, and that worked well for me, but I'm also a man, so there's a gender bias of how I view it. I'm sympathetic to my women colleagues, but there's just differences in like the dynamic. And when I say, okay, listen, the next level pain relief practitioners, don't even worry about massage. The NLPR practitioners, you guys are going to get together, and 10 of you are going to form a collective in St. Louis. And it's only going to be one publicly open yoga room. In fact, here's what I want you to do. I just want you to sublet a yoga studio initially. Don't even worry about getting your own space. Just operate out of it like a couple days a week when the yoga studio isn't busy. And it's like, what? I'm like, guys, next level pain relief is mat-based, close on, and done publicly. Install the suspensions in the room, and you all work together publicly. Yeah. No one is sexualized. No one has to deal with quote-unquote creepy clients the same way. And no one is accosted for sexual favors. Because next level pain relief isn't massage. And they're like, what? I just said too many things at once. They're like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Massage therapists can get together and share space. And there's a great reason for them to do that. One of the core reasons I think they don't is because the therapists believe they're in competition with other therapists.
Yeah. Yeah, I personally haven't had like conversations as far as like being in that realm of competitiveness. The conversations that I do have, and that's just in San Antonio, I haven't really discussed with other LMTs elsewhere as far as just like just actually like switching the education from thinking that it's just for relaxation and going into no, it's not just relaxation, right? Like we're starting, it feels like so many steps behind maybe other major cities, especially depending on like where you're at like if you live in like Stone Oak area in San Antonio, where that's going to be like more new money, right? Like I said, a higher income level. By all means, yeah, you should charge like an arm and a leg. I can't imagine how much it's going to cost just to even renting a space up there. And then you're also you are competitive, but it's not within other LMTs. It's actually with places that are like my friend calls them massage in a box, right? The franchises. So that I've seen in conversations as well is just more of like a competitive within like people that aren't even massage therapists. They're just franchise owners.
Yep.
And so it is one of those, like, it would be really beneficial, I would think, to a large group of people within this industry to discuss, like, yeah, we should, whether it's unionized, which I'm sure the franchisees would love that, and or
they think I'm like, sometimes I tease Massage Envy sometimes when I'm teaching for corporate law and their rules. And then it's also just because they're the largest employer of massage therapists. So
Yes.
it's an easy catch-all. It's like McDonald's.
Yeah.
Like, it's an easy catch-all for the hamburger industry, you know.
right, yeah,
So, okay, this is what it amounts to. Whether it's in a corporate structure, a franchise structure, or private practice, I'm always going to be pro-therapist. Even when I think about branding, franchise, you know, like the reason I wanted to have this conversation is to go into like what my brain has been percolating on for years.
yeah,
It's always still going to be pro-therapist. It doesn't matter if I run the franchise. We understand as a
Right.
franchisee that I'd have to be profitable. But it's like, do I have to run massage therapists under my capitalist boot heels to be able to get there?
right, yeah,
And it's like, for some people, they're like, well, this is how we've always done it. And I'm like, do you realize the history of capitalism doesn't have like a real good, like, pro labor? It's pro worker. I'm like, guys, we have unions for a reason. Like, they had to pass laws so that children aren't working in coal mines.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. You know. Yeah. It's that those are the conversations that I feel that like I said personally, that I have more instead of like the competitiveness. And now when it comes to actually like being in leadership, right, being the person to lead a group into creating something, whether it's a co-op or a collective, that is very real. It doesn't feel competitiveness. It's just more of the. It can't just be one person being the leader, right? Does that make sense? It's sharing it in an actual democracy, to being like, we have to share this. Like, if it's just one person, this is just a pyramid that's going to fall. Like, or not a pyramid, but
I mean, okay, so what? Man, see, I have such mixed feelings about this. It gets into other topics, like,
I know your brain's like,
well, you told me this one time. You're like, Robert, do massage therapists really want freedom? And I'm like,
I did ask you that, didn't I? Oh shit, yeah, that was real.
Don't be dropping that on me. Like,
Yeah,
I
why are
don't.
you gonna?
No,
We're
no.
live.
Just let me assume that no, they want more freedom and more control and more, you know, like.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a large section of the population, not just massage therapists.
Mhm.
My general sensibility, there is a cult of individuality in the U.S. that I think is a grand illusion.
Yes, yeah.
Not just a delusion, but an illusion.
Yes,
And
yeah.
beyond that, people want to be led.
Mm.
What I've seen as an entrepreneur is, I get up each day and I pick up a machete and I got a scratch on my hand because I'm hack out a machete and I'm hacking my way through the jungle. And I'm like, come on, guys, we can form a movement, pick up a machete. And they're like, no, I don't want to hack my way through the jungle. Can't you just pave the road? And I'm like,
by myself.
but guys, like, we're not doing things that are culturally sanctioned. This isn't allowed. I mean, I know it's just on a mat, but you got to understand this isn't allowed. Then they're like, what? I don't understand, but you know, and I'm like, guys, I can't lead when you guys don't follow.
Yeah.
Like, I will pave this thing as fast as I can, but it takes labor
That
And
takes actual
labor
work,
is
y'all.
either you do it or you pay somebody to do it.
And
Like-
I'll be honest, it is that picture of like, I just picture like a 4-year-old lying on the ground. I mean, like, I just can't today. I can't. Right? It's just like, it's hard to not.
And I'll be very clear about this. I have lots of conversations. I think mainly in relation to technology and education, which I'm very invested in. The students are slowly aging down. And the students are slowly less averse to technology. They're less averse to online training. They're less averse to Zoom. They're less averse. Like, what do you mean you have a podcast? I don't understand. Why? I never sit down and like shit on young people. They're lazy.
Yeah.
They just want everything handed to them. And I'm like, guys, okay, I'm 47. I'm caught between the school owners and new therapists who are 20 years old. When I give business advice, I understand it's always going to be as flawed as my perspective is, but a 20-year-old has never not had access to all of global information.
Wow, right? No joke. Like, they weren't, they were born with that phone in their hand. Like, you can't.
Like, they have an iPad when they're 2.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean you don't know how to work a touchscreen? I'm like, dude, I played Atari when I was a kid in the 80s when I was raised on hose water and neglect. Like, it's a different, it's not that they're lazy. It's that they know the entire world is available to them. And why do they want to settle?
Yeah. And it's that through that globalization, right? Through seeing from other parts of the world, other cultures, like you quickly realize, like, one, how shitty it is here or can be. And 2, like that there are other ways of approaching entrepreneurship, approaching your practice, approaching just being you, which is funny because then I think of like the hyper individualist. But yeah, it's just like, it doesn't have to be like it's this way and no other way. There are definitely other ways.
It's amazing to me to look at businesses, and I don't mean just in the massage industry.
Yeah.
And like, it's weird. Like, I don't know. They come up with a sandwich shop idea. And the sandwich shop is like, we're going to have fresh meats and we're going to slice it when you order it. That's the innovation.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, but that's very like labor intense. Why can't we just pre-slice it? And it's like, no, but it doesn't have the same aromatic qualities and whatever. And then they open a sandwich shop.
Let's check out the ASMR.
But I hate to say this, but it's like they fail to innovate past that point.
Oh, okay.
And then COVID hit, and if you didn't figure out delivery real fast,
pick up and things like that. Yeah. Which also sucks because then the credit cards, like in DoorDash and everything, takes their percentage, their cut from you as a Well, we can keep going on that.
Well, but, I mean, there are solutions, and then I get to this point where people are like, Robert, you sound like a Bitcoin maxi. And I'm like, what is a Bitcoin maxi? And they're like, you think Bitcoin's going to solve? I'm like, no. Listen, Bitcoin is a step. I don't know what's past it. Like,
right. Yeah.
Like, well, what is Robert saying? It's like, well, technically, if you could figure out a way to do this, you could pay for your sandwich directly and avoid the credit card company altogether.
Yeah.
And they're like, what? I'm like,
we'll just leave it like that.
Just look into it. Just look into it.
Just look at it. Yeah.
It's like people, like, okay, so the person in Nigeria has got $10 to invest in Bitcoin. I'm like, why would that person buy $10 of Bitcoin from Nigeria? And I'm like, by investing in global commerce, and it's a hedge against Nigerian inflation. And they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I know. Just do a little research. Just
research it.
It's DoorDash. It's fine. It'll get to you quickly. Like, quick and free has a cost.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Is that a good segue into what else we were going to talk to, as far as like why no into the?
I'm still stuck on cooperatives.
Well, what other questions do you have when it comes to cooperative?
Well, I mean, I think cooperatives don't exist in the industry because therapists don't respect other therapists enough to think they're going to pay rent on time.
Okay.
And once somebody drops out, it like changes the whole factor of like rent and
Yeah.
you know, I can't work with Sally. She didn't work for me, you know. And it's like,
and I through conversations specifically like with you, like that, I'm glad that we've talked about that because ever since I received my got my license, I've only worked for myself. I've never worked and whether it's Massage in a Box or anyone local or anything of that matter, which, I admit to this day, like, I'm like, okay, maybe I was missing something when it comes to camaraderie, but that's about it. But because we have technology, I was like, really since 2020, I've been working diligently to get to know other LMTs within the San Antonio area, hosting events just recently at the collective that I'm at Bear Collective. I've actually met recent like LMTs that want to come check out a Thai massage jam and things like that. It's been really cool. Everyone's been very kind and open-hearted and open-minded to it. But at the same time, I'm not running to be like, let's start this co-op. Mostly because I have to establish some sort of like friendship, relationship, and trust. But it's also in my mind, I know that sometimes it's that, was it the hegemonic?
Hegemonic. Oh, yes.
Hegemonic, right? Like it becomes that
The
where it's just
hegemony.
like,
Yeah.
yes. So having the same people that all have the same thought, like we have to have others with outside of that and bring it in. And when I come to that, I mean the people that freaking love the numbers, that they're budget operators, they the market people that love doing marketing, like those are the people that I need to start meeting in order to make anything actually come to fruition. And then once I have that actual, like almost not even almost like as a proposal, then proposing that to people who want to join the co-op or don't want to join the co-op. I mean, if the numbers are there, it's kind of hard to be like, see guys, this freaking makes sense. And that's probably just me being way too optimistic. But again, like, I'm meeting people recently when it comes to that have run nonprofits here in the city that have run restaurants, like that they know all of the ins and outs when it comes to like what it's like to actually run a business and nonprofit, and then taking those minds, paying them salaries, paying them living wages, and then also just being like, and now I get to do what I love and not have to think about all that other stuff. So
the delegation works, and there are obvious reasons that a cooperative would be better for the therapists.
Yeah.
But I think massage therapists are in school starting to think that the other students are competition already.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
There's so many layers, and fundamentally, it's just therapists working together for group uplift. So they get a better space, less rent, more options. They They share scheduling software. There's tons of advantages.
Yeah.
But I still feel like, Austin, you'd think Austin, because Austin's weird, right? Well, it's weird. It's crazy in Austin. And there's not a cooperative I can think of.
No, I've never heard of one.
And the rents are...
Yeah.
Yeah. There are therapists between you and I don't know how they do it, because I'm barely doing it, and I don't have rent like that.
Yeah, I was saying, and your home studio, yeah. I also have my home studio, but it's definitely I would not, even in San Antonio, want to go out there and be like, yeah, let me just lease a space. That sounds smart.
Part of the thing I considered, and we'll see what happens. Like, there's so many days where I don't feel like I'm getting anything done because I'm working on like 2 or 3 websites at the same time and edits and like all this back stuff where it's like, we'll get to it next week, and we'll get to it in 2 weeks, and it's like you don't feel like you're I don't know, the tasks are so big, it's like eating an elephant. And I know that my skill is at like breaking it down into small pieces and chewing, but it feels like you're not getting anywhere. And when I think about what I'm seeing so far is like, how many therapists came to your jam and then started asking questions about running a jam?
Yeah.
Just guess.
In total, since I've been doing events, I've only had 3 events. And so in total, I've had 6 massage therapists.
Wow. So you've had on average 2 therapists per event asking you about running an event?
So they didn't ask about running an event, but they did sound interested as far as just like, please let us know, like, when is this going to happen again?
Oh, okay. So that's a start.
Yeah,
like that's a different response than I am personally familiar with. And the more I step back and push you guys forward, the response is different to Kristen, to Tammy, to you, to other hosts. And I'm like, what's going on? Like, this is interesting. And I think part of it is just they see women winning and go, well, I want to do that. This is amazing. And they like essentially that hacking their way through the jungle. They don't want to reinvent the wheel. They just want to ride on somebody else's wheel. Right. They don't want to be part of a movement who creates something new. They just want to purchase the thing that's like, can I get it now? I want that.
Yeah. The benefits.
When I look at a franchise model, and I've told students this, they'd be in a class, we'd do intro Thai, it's mat based, and they go, man, when are you going to open a place? And I'm like, huh? And they're like, man, when are you going to open a place that does this? And I'm like, why would I do that? And they're like, oh, but I want you to give me a job.
Right.
And I was like, oh. Okay, so they're taking mat work as a class. They like it. They realize they can't practice it anywhere. Right. So if I open the place, they already,
you have employees.
Then I would handle the scheduling and the booking and the whatever. And I'm like, guys, y'all can barely stand me for 3 days for a class. You're really not going to like me as a manager. I'm just having a guess. That's not in my not in my wheelhouse. The other part is I understood very deeply, and this has been a fight. Okay, brick and mortar is the model for the massage industry.
It is the model, yeah.
The only thing outside of that is like Soothe and Zeal or people who sell booking software.
That's right. Yeah.
Soothe and Zeal aren't brick and mortar.
No.
They're making money off of therapists using their app to connect them to clients. Correct. And then I would be like, guys, you're trying to get me to play a real estate game. I'll open a franchise when I can buy the shopping center.
Yeah.
And they're like, but that doesn't make any sense. And it's because they're looking at my business as a brick and mortar business instead of me selling digital info products on the internet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Once I've scaled digital info products to the moon, cool. I could buy the shopping center and then you rent out 9 of the units, slightly higher in rent to pay for yours. And now we have a franchise because my unit's free. Yay. They're not thinking on that level, because once you start dealing with real estate and capital, that's where things start to break down. Like if I try to talk to somebody and I go, listen, do you know there's a difference between laboring and then capital gains tax?
Yes.
Like when you have capital gains tax, that means your stuff made money.
Yes.
But it don't mean you did nothing. It just means you own stuff.
Yeah, you just own stuff.
And it's like, well, you bought a house and you bought it for 100, now it's worth 200. Did you do $100,000 worth of labor? And they're like,
nope.
But how? I'm like, because the house is worth more, and the next guy who wants to buy it will pay you 200, and you made $100,000 just for owning.
Just for owning.
So
exactly. Yeah.
The other side of it is next level pain relief, and I can do this legally. Like I sit down with my lawyer, and I'm like, Now I have to refill my retainers, so please, Mr. Lawyer, sir, don't contact me. And I was like, it's going to take a little time. He's like, you're fine, whatever. He's like, your legal needs are minimal. Just get to it later.
There you go.
I go, okay, so franchise, and he's like, you're not ready. Your business is not big enough. Trust me. You have to have
next conversation.
You need a much larger, more robust business to be able to have this real conversation.
Yeah.
The hope is when we get there, one, somebody else is coming in as an investor.
Yes.
And says, why aren't you franchising? And it's like, no. Right. The answer is the question is, why are you franchising?
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you your first 10 franchises for free. What? And I'm like, yeah. What about training? I'm like, oh, I know a guy. I also heavily supplement through my cameras so we can train the staff, continue training the staff, work with the staff. You have no ends to my zeal. And they're like, wait a second, what do you mean the first 10? I'm like, dude, if there were 10 franchises doing what I teach, it's going to expand to 1,000, and I have different business problems.
Yeah.
Like, I'd have to hire people to what do I know about real estate?
Not much, I guess.
No. Like, my car has 305,000 miles on it and knocks.
Love that you do the car.
Because I put all my money back into my business. I'm like, fuck that car. Anyway. The other side of it is you can have a franchise, the franchisee buys in. That's a little bit more like what Massage Envy did and did so well.
Right.
The next piece is, okay, lawyer, sir.
Mm-hmm.
If we took therapists in San Antonio, could the therapists get together and have a next level pain relief clinic that was part of like a cooperative? And how does that work?
Yeah, how does that work?
Well, and this is me, because I'm the guy in control trying to steer the brand, and it's very pro-therapist. I'm like, how do I create something that's not only better for the therapists and better for their clients in pain, but now is better for their bank accounts?
Yeah.
So now there's a separate track of franchisees who are opening cooperatives where the therapists own the facility.
Right. Yeah. That would be a worker-owned co-op.
The therapists own the franchise, that particular franchise.
Yeah.
That particular franchise location. I don't know how that works, but it's something I think about, and it's where I feel like I'm ahead of the game in some ways, but the vision is so lofty, it's hard to explain to people, like, dude, what are you doing? And I'm like, we're transforming the massage industry.
Yes.
And they're like,
by getting away from it, you're welcome.
We're trying to transform healthcare in America related to touch and manual therapy, and they're like, this don't make any sense.
Because everyone's their pearls.
Yeah, because I'm not opposed to money. Money just allows me to invest and do other things and engage in uplift. And then sometimes I think it's not completely visible at first glance. Because I don't have
I was going to say,
we're still working on a website. Right. How do you present an idea when there's no brick and mortar?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you have everything online. I mean, I'm excited. And if that means that having this conversation with other massage therapists to like at least get some sort of like wheel turning, I mean, I'm willing to do. I'm not willing to like say like I'm throwing $10,000 of my own money down and blah blah blah. Like I'm like, yeah, no, we're not playing that. Mostly because the reality is I don't have that right now.
Yeah, I'm so like throwing money at a problem is weird.
Yeah,
I've only really ever had labor to throw at it, and I love, this is me. I'm not really into punk music, but the ethos of like, well, how are we going to get to Boston? And we're in a band. And I'm like, you're going to shove your ass in a van. You're going to cart your ass up there. And you can live on tuna fish, with 5 dudes in a van, just like.
Yum.
And then 20 years from now, if you make it, these are going to be the glory days.
Yeah, for sure.
These are going to be the stuff you look back to about how fun it was.
Wow, it was so fun. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, like
you romanticize the really hard times.
Yeah, a big business just throwing money at a problem gets stuff done faster, but it doesn't have the same. Like, I'm talking about. I mean, and maybe it's possible, like a franchise structure somehow that includes a cooperative component where you can come in.
Yeah.
And it's like a paid franchisee.
Right.
We got to pay. Like, we have certain structure and this stuff is done for you and the training's included or whatever. But as a cooperative, imagine being like, oh, it didn't cost anything.
Correct. Yes.
What?
Yeah. People
Like, no,
like,
I'll do the training for free. It's just a cooperative with you guys.
yeah, with you guys. Y'all,
This
y'all are
doesn't
cool.
make any sense. And I'm like, it will after the first 10.
Perfect.
But can you, man, I really hate, because I get to this point of like, is it compassionate capitalism?
Oh, that is real sweet and cute. Oh, what a name.
And I feel guilty saying it. You know what I mean?
It's going to be your next birthday gift, I think.
Yeah, it's like, because they always think it's just like this Darwinian struggle, survival. You just grind them under your boot heels, kind of. And it's like, no. Like, there was
oh, that's so cute.
Yeah, there was a poker player, a gambler, who said that you can shear a sheep many times, but skin him only once. And it's like, that's how I look at business.
Okay,
Like,
that's fair.
reasonable. Like, nobody ever, when you have a job, you understand you don't get all of it.
No.
But
No.
it's like, if you can incentivize somebody wanting to work with you and stay with you and continue working, you make more money long term. There's
Yes.
no more robust ability. So
Yeah.
I think cooperatives can work.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting on the therapist to get out there and do it.
Uh-huh.
And they're like, we're going to form a union. And I'm like, cool. Contact the IWW, the International Workers of the World. Get right on that.
They'll just be like, can you stand all the way back there at the end of the line?
Yeah.
Ooh. Anyways, ouch. Yeah. What is that, Texas right to work state? Is that what it is? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how it's legally when you start dealing with
It's
state
a mess.
laws.
Okay, that's what it is. Freaking mess. Anyways.
Yeah, labor rights and stuff. I'm like, dude, I can't understand law in the massage industry. Once I start digging into other stuff, it ain't gonna.
We'll never see you again.
It's not gonna make me less pessimistic. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, if anything, it's like Robert, like 3.0. Well, yeah. Come back to the light at least for 10 minutes a day, Robert.
Hi, I'm Robert Gardner. We're going to talk about human rights today. So after cooperatives, the Decolonize Your Massage Practice, there was a thread in a group, and I was waiting. I felt like we got ahead of this before anybody brought it up, and somebody just came in and was like, "What? You don't allow white people? Fuck this!" And I'm like, "Oh, here we go, here we go." Because it was like, well, what do they mean by decolonize? And I'm like, at least you could ask a question. I'm very happy that we could start to have this conversation, but.
Sure. Yeah.
Is there a need for the massage industry to be decolonized?
Are you like asking that, or is it rhetorical? You're really asking that? Yes. I mean, decolonize everything.
But I'm a white guy, like not a person of color, like explaining some of the parameters. I think I have an answer to that, which is yes. But yes. I don't go around talking about this and be the poster child for decolonize your massage practice. Like, I'm controversial enough as it is.
Yeah. Yeah. And then it also depends on who you're talking to when it comes to that, right? Like if like when I say that, I mean like the definition of decolonizing, right? Which yes, sociology major, but I didn't, specifically like hone in on like decolonizing. So when I hear that, it's more like, yeah, it's asking the questions of like, where does this practice that we do, where does it come from? Who does it benefit? Right. And I mean, really it's like the whole premise of the US, which is, it was a business idea. It was a whole bunch of white dudes in a room. So I'm just like,
there's somebody somewhere like, fuck this podcast, fuck, I can't believe they said that. And it's like, ooh.
I know.
I love when people talk about,
like, yeah, edit.
No, fuck that. Like, I love when people talk about America and they're like nonviolence, and I'm like, you realize the Boston Tea Party was like tarring and feathering people and dressing up as in the indigenous and throwing their fucking property in the harbor. Like, fuck your tea. Like,
I was like,
they're like, no, nonviolence. And I'm like,
it's founded on violence with violence.
Yeah,
it seems
to be like, it was founded on, that's
violence.
I would never encourage violence. However, when I look historically, it seemed like there were all these wars we kept studying in school.
A lot of guns, y'all. There was so much.
There was always the advances in weaponry that led to the advances in science. You'll notice that they didn't science didn't just progress on its own, Anyway.
Right. Yeah. So I know I jumped right into it, right? I didn't say the other words. You're welcome. But yeah, it is to me like when I hear decolonizing, if I associate that, I associate it with like everything that we do. So since we're talking about massage therapy, I don't even know where to start. Other than having the conversations.
Well, you asked, like, where does our massage practice come from?
Yeah.
And in the West, my argument, generally speaking, is that it comes from Northern Europe. And it comes from Banya culture. It comes from, like, sauna culture.
Yeah.
With, like, and I still don't understand how this happened, with nudity and, like, oil being included. It seems like the first step, it almost feels backwards to me in Western culture. It seemed like mat base and clothes on would come first. And it's like, but that's not how it happened at all.
Right.
So then that culture becomes sort of encoded in law and encoded in school. And massage, which had probably been an indigenous practice in a whole variety of ways around the world, becomes this.
Many. Yeah.
No, this is the way you do it. This is the way you do it. And I'm like, guys, listen, I don't want to tell you this, but I'm going to tell you a quick story. So I went to Istanbul when I was 19 years old. And I go into the men's area because they break it out according to gender. And then this like sweaty Turkish guy came over and like proceeded to like throw a thing of hot water on me, scrub me with a loofah. It's like sweaty Turk working me over, it's like white kid, this pasty white, He's like loofing me, and then he like sits me up and cracks my neck, and then it's like a bath combination massage, chiropractic adjustment. This shit is illegal in the States, right?
Yes, yeah.
And this is just another day in Istanbul.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like that thing is somehow like a piece of it is like massage. Like just like specific box in our culture.
Yeah.
And then because of the schooling in schools, this sort of structured curriculum around like what the law says is and is not okay, scope of practice, you wind up with massage as we think of it. Massage as an industry. And any attempt to break out of that is just like heretical.
Yeah. And it is one of those like, even just, I would challenge someone who like, whether it's one ego driven, to be like, decolonize, everyone just talks about it. It's just like, well, let's start from what you just said, right? Like it's an industry, right? So when we decolonize, we're trying to get to some form of roots that have not been lost, but that, concentrate more on communal health and, not taking
technical difficulties. We are back.
We're back. Yay. As far as like taking that step back, realizing that, yes, it's an industry. Yes, this is who it serves. Right. And shifting mindset mentality into something that is more equitable and inclusive, instead of what we really want to say, like narrowly focused, which to me is just like, the narrowly focused is on this idea that massage is only relaxation. When, like it's more than that. So like decolonizing is, it's more than just like this one very specific, idea. Go ahead.
So I don't know what other therapists' like backgrounds are. Mm-hmm. I had one massage, literally got nauseous. A young lady was in massage school and gave me a session. I worked at a health food store. I'd had a car accident. Yeah. And then my muscles like relaxed. And it was the first time a light bulb went off, and I was like, man, what is this massage thing? Like, maybe I'd get better, you know. So I wound up going to school, and then you begin the process, because my focus was in philosophy, not biology.
Yes.
So it was like anatomy, physiology, kinesiology. You were learning basic techniques and strokes and whatever else. And then you started working, and then you started like, oh, okay, is it spa or is it medical? And then I was always medical because of my past history, but it was like I was having a hard time. When I moved to Austin, it was like, yay, you can work for a chiropractor. And then I worked for a chiropractor and went, dude, this is not remotely. Yeah. I can't even help the clients because they're limiting what I do,
right,
to a point where I can't even do what I know how to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, got a job at another chiropractor's finally and went, Robert, don't make any noise. They don't know what time massage is. Take off your shoes, lay down the table just like you are. We'll move you around.
We'll move you around. That's all we'll do.
On.
Yeah.
Hey, Bubba.
You mean I took you from a pain level of 6 to 2 in 30 minutes? Wow. How about that?
I'm like,
I just recently did that too with somebody.
Go smoke some briskets. I'll see you in 2 weeks. And that was how I did it. Take off your shoes, lay down on the table, just like everything became table tie really fast. And then after a year or so of that, they let me put in a mat because they just got out of my way. They were just like, Robert, the client, whatever the hell you're doing, the clients love it. Like they're easy to adjust. It's workable. Like their pain levels are better. It does what we say we're going to do. It's a little weird, you know, it's a little different, but we tolerate it.
Yeah.
And that's mostly what I hope is like when people tolerate me, I'm like, ooh, man, that's like, that's like the upper 1%.
You did it. Yeah. So, you know, I'm, like I said, I didn't see that thread as far as like decolonizing the massage industry. But I mean, it to me, I'm like, you know, you should really rethink like the structuring of, you know, what it is to be a massage therapist and in the US, right? Like that to me is decolonizing. Like it's not a one size fits all. And the fact that we as workers and then we as a society have been fed that, I mean, hey, that's why you're not fully booked all the time. Now I'll tell you this, like, I'm not running to be like, and I want to be part of the health insurance. That's another industrial complex, right?
No.
That's not what I'm saying. Like,
there's a ton of like, they're like, but your stuff is medical, right? And I'm like, yeah, but why can't we just bill consumers directly? Like, why do we have to get involved? And don't get me wrong, I'm pro science. I'm not for how Western medicine is practiced for profit. And when I say that, you have to understand, I mean, like, I don't want the local neighbors going bankrupt because they can't afford cancer treatment.
Exactly. Yeah.
We can argue whether massage is a luxury. Like, I confuse people because I charge top dollar and then they'll contact me and say, but I can't afford it. And I'm like, okay, what can you afford?
What can you afford? Yeah. Yeah, I bet you throw them off. Even though I have, you know, sliding scale and donation based, and I admit it's at specific time intervals, right? In the sense of like only 45 minutes or 30 minutes at the collective. I still have people that are just like, well, no, I'll pay that amount for like the 2-hour one. I'm like, great. I mean, we'll do that. But yeah, it is a whole societal shift in like how you view your own health and wellness.
Yeah. When I walk into a room full of massage therapists and teach, the general vibe I have gotten at times is very like, no, he's not one of us. Like he's
Sorry,
mad.
Robert, I know you shouldn't laugh at that.
This is madness. He's like, and I'm like, well, yeah, you guys don't do this like already. Like, what have y'all been doing?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And the colonized thing.
I mean, real quick, like also from your lived experience, and for you, like you were in a car accident, you were living in pain. Like if you go to, you know, I forget like what they're called nowadays. It's actual doctors, right, that specifically deal with like pain management. Right? Like I would trust the pain management doctor that says, well, have you seen a massage therapist before you come to me? Like, I don't know. Like I see and I talk about like treating massage as more like preventative care. And then eventual, like hopefully, even if you were to be in a place of like, I need that next level pain relief, like I'm in pain. Great, let's get you where your normal is, and then we'll just treat it like maintenance, and I'll see you, when I see you. But yeah,
I mean, having a conversation where I ask therapists if they're asking their clients for a pain scale. 10's hospital, 0 is no pain. Where are you at?
Yeah.
And I have to sit back and go, Robert, they've never done that before.
Truth. That's new. Yeah.
It doesn't matter that I've done it for years, and at some point I picked it up because I was so focused on pain, and that makes total sense. And you added it in or whatever. But I have to teach really basic concepts for the service that I'm trying to get the therapist to sell. And then the colonize part, like, you're really the only therapist I've had that conversation with. And then it's like, well, what is colonization?
Yeah.
And what is this like for? And then again, I start, even if it's rhetorical, even if I'm digging, just asking questions, I'm like, well, who does the massage industry benefit? They don't like my answers.
Right.
I'm like, why don't we get it to benefit therapists? And they're like,
yes. They're going to be like, what? Why? It's like, because that's how it should have been.
It's like, I hate to say this, but the therapists, they want to become therapists. They want to help people. And then they start working and realize it's manual labor and they can only see one client at a time. And then their greatest goal is to become the evil that they didn't want to work for, because they want their business to grow enough so they hire therapists and get them to do the labor so they can make money out of their labor.
Yeah. And that's even just that first step, right? I want to become a therapist because I want to help people. That you need to decolonize that, right? You can't go into something being like, I want to help people. It's like, did they even ask for your help? It's the showing up for yourself first, and then like wherever you may end up, whether it's rural or urban, as a therapist, and then just like you kind of like adapting into whatever that place.
So what's the challenge with like the idea that they want to help people?
Back to being like, who do they even ask for your help? Right? Like, does that?
Well, do they think help is even available?
Yeah. You're asking if like if our society?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so. No.
I mean, we're having to deal with educating the public about what we do, because like the number of clients I have worked on who are like, dude, this is like the massage I hoped existed. Like this actually like works on the stuff, and I'm like, oh yeah. And they're like, wait, why are therapists doing this? And I'm like,
here's this pamphlet. I'm just kidding. No.
I'm working on it as fast as I can.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It's, you and I've had this conversation before, and probably even on the last episode that we've done, as far as just like, I mean, it goes into like how we're even taught in school, right? And like the questions that we don't ask that we probably should be asking, even before going to massage therapy school. But yeah, that's a whole rabbit hole that I don't have time to go down right now. But yeah, I hope that makes sense, as far as when I'm like decolonizing is like asking the questions, like when you do approach something in this mindset of like, okay, but is this coming from a white supremacist mentality of like, it has to be this way, only benefiting this one group, and like leaving all this other like marginalized groups behind. Yeah.
I mean, I see the body work as so invested in biology itself that it's manifested in different cultures.
Yes,
but
truth.
it's a pretty much universal need related to touch itself.
Definitely.
So
Yeah.
I'm always interested in the way it manifests in culture, kind of like what I described in being in Istanbul.
Yeah.
But I mean, to me personally, all I'm doing is saying, hey, why don't we work on a mat? And there's enough like frustration with that where it's like, oh, that's what the difference is. Like, I got this Northern European culture, but then I went to Southeast Asia, essentially. That
Right.
Southeast Asian culture between yoga and Thai massage and in Thailand, like even like Buddhism coming along for the ride, like influenced my overall practice. So I go in and teach, and they're like,
Yeah.
what is this guy talking about? Like, this is crazy. We learned it this way.
Yeah, exactly. We learned in this box and we cannot go outside of this box. So don't ask me to.
Yeah, if I ask what is massage, the students will get mad, but I go, well, guys, hold on. What's our goal? What are we trying to do? Rarely do they say, we want to make money. Well, if you want to make money, you'll go be an investment banker. Like,
truth, yeah.
I mean, they have to make money, but it's like they want to help people.
Yeah.
They want to make people feel better. In some ways, they want to do the anti-capitalist thing. It's not that they don't want to make money. They just want to serve people one-on-one, and the person pays them. And then it's like, there's a lot of this bureaucracy that's not in the way anymore.
Right.
It's very direct to consumer care.
Yeah.
You know, Holly loves her session. Holly pays me. I see Holly regularly. My bills get paid. I get a chance to help people instead of being involved in some sort of rat race. Is the vibe. Like, to me, the massage industry as a whole still has a kind of a hippie vibe.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
A little something there.
Yeah.
And then I come in with long hair, and they're like, oh, he's a hippie. And it's like, oh, no, he listens to too much.
Yeah, we don't trust that one.
He listens to too much Pantera. He's like raised on Metallica or something. He's just not. He freaked us out. Like, he faked us out.
Yeah, this is too much.
Yeah. But
too
much. So I immediately want to go, okay, so, and I hate this, but it's like, I know next to nothing about indigenous Mexican practice around massage and body work. I know nothing that I can think of except like sweat lodges for indigenous American body work related things. Yeah. Like, there's so much of it that's just been, I want to say, wiped away in my case, or never taught to me, that I can't speak about it like in a massage program.
Right.
Like, when I say massage program, I mean like in a massage school. For me, it made total sense to, like, because I had Northern Europe and Southeast Asia, because I had a multiple like cultural vantage points, I re-envisioned the service itself. And like, wait a second, I want to help people in pain. Don't worry about the relaxation. Like, it's relaxing, but let's work on the pain part. And that's made it very like, this guy is, I'm like Iron Chef, bro. Hiroyuki Sakai. It's like French and Japanese. Something that never existed. Why can't we do that? And they're like, no, but we learned it this way in school. And I'm like, okay, is that the best way to get the problem solved?
Yeah.
And then what kind of practice do you really want to have?
Right.
And what do you want the real connection with your clients to be like? We can tweak that in various ways. The same way we can tweak James Brown's bass line to create hip hop. You know, like, we can remix. We can take turntables and make art on top of other people's art. You know, it's like, there's ways to do it. It's just that I just haven't seen a lot of it in the massage industry itself. Right. But I think it's also because it's just fledgling. The massage industry, as we think of it, is 40 years old.
Yeah. No, you're right. It's pretty young. Yeah. No. Yeah. I agree with that. You know, I haven't done research as far as just like how, like, historically, at least in the US, right? Like, how it just came to be like a very, like, you know, focused on spas and relaxation, and that's it. When, you know, historically we know that, like, whether it's like warriors getting massage before they go to war, like things like that, right? It's just like, in capitalistic economy with everyone sitting in chairs, I hope you get worked on because I know that you are in pain in your neck and your back and your glutes, like all kinds of stuff, because you're sitting down for like an grossly amount of time on your butt. Like it's just not healthy. It's not good for the body. I realize that you have to pay your bills. So also come see me.
I constantly and forever am like picking this up and I'm like, just go teach them what you do.
Yeah.
Just go teach them what you do. And they're like, no, we want them to do that. And I'm like, oh, you want the professional organizations and the bureaucrats to educate people on what you do?
Oh,
it's
yeah,
like,
right.
If every massage therapist in the United States, which totals up to about 300,000, by the way, if every massage therapist in the United States made a video for a year, what would the massage industry look like?
Wow. Yeah, that'd be fun. Would love to see that.
And it's like, no, but I don't. This is social media. I want to help people. I don't want to do that evil stuff, Even.
And that's me saying I know, coming from like our very first meeting together in July of 2023, to where I was just like, yeah, I don't use that social media stuff, and now I do.
Do you actually know what month you started talking to me? That's crazy.
Yeah, really good memory. But yeah. Yeah, Robert, of course. That was the time when I was like, I'm ready to make this change. Let's go.
Well, why no social media?
Then it was more of I thought, I wouldn't call it evil, but I thought having like any form of like influence and presence as a massage therapist is like somehow the dichotomy, right? I was just like, that doesn't make sense. But now I realize, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like, literally, I have this tool that's free and I need to utilize it and throw it out there. I mean, I admit I still get people that schedule with me are still really through word of mouth. But at least now I have the stuff out there to be like, hey, if you want to see what I do, there you go. Like, it's right there. So yeah, there's that.
I got on TikTok during COVID, or really just before, but during COVID, it of course ramped up because we were at home with not a lot to do.
Yes.
And because of my interest, I started like landing on indigenous talk pretty regularly.
Yeah.
And it was like, holy moly, dude, there's a whole landscape of people in the indigenous community making TikToks, like educating people like me who are interested. And then like recently, Leonard Peltier was pardoned and let out of jail, which I had heard about Leonard Peltier from like Rage Against the Machine, probably in like the mid 90s or something like that. And I didn't know a lot about the Native American movement and, AIM and, that stuff. But
look at you already throwing down AIM, though. You knew something.
Well, no. The thing is, like, it's of interest to me. It just, it's kind of like food. I'm not a chef. I didn't train meticulously in like a specific thing. I just have a general interest. And I'm like, what is this? And I'm like, ooh.
Yeah.
It's like, I think these people have some complaints and grievances with the American government. And I mean, like, I don't feel like I necessarily participated in it, though I wish my tax dollars, I wish I could choose. Wouldn't that be great if we could just choose where our tax dollars went? And how many Americans would be like, I want more rockets and bombs. That's what I want. Yeah, I like that.
I think everybody would be like, me, not that one.
Healthcare. Exactly.
I want healthcare and housing. How about that?
My camera drop again?
It did.
Super interesting. So, when I look at that, like, that stuff is interesting because it challenges the dominant discourse in a different way. Like, did you watch House of Cards?
No, I watched like maybe the first like 3 episodes. I liked it, but I never finished it.
Spacey as an actor is just like, dude, what? The Frank Underwood's character is one of there's an episode where there's a Native American contingent that goes to the White House, and there's a picture of fucking Andrew Jackson on the wall, and I'm like, no. Like, why? Like, he was a president. I'm like, dude, Andrew Jackson's responsible for the Trail of Tears, bro.
Yeah, I was gonna say
not looked upon favorably Like Old Hickory can go fuck himself as far as they're concerned. Like like it, but it's like to see it, you know, and it's dramatized, of course, but
Yeah.
I never had a problem with like sitting back, and I never felt attacked. Like I grew up in South Louisiana, so if people talked about slavery, I wasn't like, that don't have nothing to do with me. It's like, I was born in 1977. There's a lot of white people, I hate to say this, they have this response where it's like, they're attacking me. And it's like, okay, guys, so we're gonna do a quick history. I had this conversation with a friend of mine this morning. Like Wall Street. Wall Street was a wall that was built as like a protective barriers by the Dutch in New York. And it was basically part of where the stock exchange developed and where they bought and sold slaves.
Yeah, I would say
and
slaves.
All of the early colonization that happened, funding the slave trade that built J.P. Morgan Chase, that built Aetna, and all these companies that you're familiar with who profited off of slavery.
Yes, correct.
And it's like, they're like, what? And it's like, guys, I don't ask why black people are still asking questions about reparations.
I know, right? Yeah, exactly.
Like,
you're like, yes.
Guys, just sit back for a second. They've got a point.
Yeah.
They got a point. Just marinate on it a bit. They got a point. Like the entire wealth of the country was built off of this 300 to 400 year institution and these big global conglomerates who still take $12 out of my banking account when it drops below a certain level. They're like, no, that $12 is mine now. You didn't keep enough money in your account. It says so in our
that's
rules.
on you. That's on you. Yeah, exactly. Oh my God.
And I'm like, I don't like J.P. Morgan Chase to begin with. And I bank with them because I need, access to a bank. But it's like me finding out that they were involved in the trans-global slave trade is kind of like,
oops. Yeah.
So being able to look at some of those things and really sit back and go, well, how do you right past wrongs?
Other than acknowledgement.
Well, and that's a start. Like
Yeah, right.
They're like, well, dude, I'm white. I grew up in South Louisiana. Like I've had family members be like, well, Abraham Lincoln freed those people. And I'm like, no, fuck.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Abe, for going in the right direction. But it's like they lived with Jim Crow.
Yeah.
Like environmental and like housing discrimination. Like, and I go, guys, you always think reparations is like cut them a check. To give black people, if they can relate, cut them a check. And I'm like, no. Hold on. Look at the just take one. Okay, reparations for slavery. Try not to get mad. What if we gave every black person in America who had ancestry going back to slavery, and we gave them home loans at 1% interest?
Right.
The banks still make money. They still make profit. And they go, well, but that's not fair. And it's like, well,
they'll be like, that's DEI.
That 400 years wasn't fair either. Like this is a way of like bolstering the economy. People who have jobs and who have homes and build up wealth over time. And it's like kind of like J.P. Morgan Chase. Maybe.
I don't know.
But it's real comfortable for me to sit in discomfort and just ask like rough questions.
Yeah.
Also, I think I have a deeper sense of empathy for people.
Yes.
When I hear their story and they tell their story, I'm like, man, that's fucked up. Like, I don't want to be part of that. Right, I don't want to engage in things that are promoting it.
Right.
Or sustaining it.
Sustaining it.
Or,
seriously.
Like, to me, a big part of me teaching online is this sort of direct-to-consumer model because it's like, well, just go around the red tape.
I love that.
Just give it to them.
I was saying you're not wrong. Yeah.
Dude, they act like, this annoys the shit out of me. In the massage industry, they act like these are magic techniques. They're secrets. They're secrets.
Sorry, I shouldn't laugh at that.
Secrets.
Yes.
You can't just give it to them. And I'm like, but I mean, it was given to me. Like, why would I not want to help more people?
Yeah. 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 And I guess like it is for me, it is that sharing of knowledge. There's no need to hoard that knowledge when it's very much just like, yeah, it should be accessible. It should be very easy to get. Yeah. Fun.
The Time Massage Jam. Everybody, like, there's like, these people don't have licenses. I'm like, but they're just like learning how to work on each other.
Exactly.
Like, it's not harming people. Trust me, I've done it for 13 years. Nobody's being injured.
Yeah.
Like, why can't we just give away a certain amount as like a free sample?
Yeah.
It allows people to learn how to work on each other and get their care for free, essentially.
Yeah. It's this mentality of like going back to like, I only feel good when I give money to a cause than sharing some form of knowledge to, to community. I don't know why it has to be such a like tangible sort, or not tangible, financial sort of exchange.
So I started getting a little weepy for a second. This doesn't happen very often, but people I don't know. They don't see things the way I see it, or I'm not good at presenting it yet. And I go, cool, we're going to get all the jams across the United States at the same time. We're going to have a jam within like a week time frame at all these different facilities. And we're going to give all the money to like battered women's shelters.
Yeah.
And they're like, why? And I'm like, well, because the battered women's shelter is engaging with the shit that the Time Massage Jam is trying to prevent.
Right.
Because people don't know how to touch, and it's leading to like violence in families and shit. And then it's like, oh, okay, cool. So on this week, we're going to take all the proceeds from the Time Massage Jam and we're going to give it to indigenous communities so they start actually looking into missing women in the indigenous community.
Right.
Now, do you look at the Time Massage Jam differently? Like, there was a young lady, she's Thai in my class, and I've had 2 Thai students that I remember. And one was just kind of like, Robert, how do I sell Time massage to these white people? Which is awesome because she's looking at it from a different lens.
Yes, yeah.
And then this other young lady's like, she's like, but you kind of make me feel bad because like you do so much to promote Thai massage, and I'm Thai, and I'm like, look, Tippawan, your people gave me my life back.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it's like through teachers and stuff, but it's like when the work got to me, it was like, yeah, you can transform it in various ways, but I don't have a vested interest in hoarding information. I'm trying to get people to use it. Why do I care if somebody gets better and they don't pay me for a full session?
Yeah. Why do you care? Why does it matter?
No, it's promotion. It's still promoting the overall thing, but I feel like my sensibility in terms of especially digital distribution, the Time Massage Jam is the brick and mortar version in person. Right. The free workbook or like membership is kind of the online version.
Yes.
But as I raised my fees, and sometimes it was less accessible to people, there was an outlet through the jam.
Yeah.
And an outlet through the membership to be able to provide it inexpensively to people. Like, I'm serious. When I started seeing my workbook go out, I was like, can I teach this to people in sub-Saharan Africa so they can work on people in their village? Like, could they learn through like their videos on their smartphone? And then you come to find out there were lots of areas in sub-Saharan Africa where I think some people didn't have access to internet unless it was like in large cities. So it like slows down digital distribution in those areas. There's probably 2 billion people on Earth, third of our population, quarter of our population, that don't have constant, steady internet access. So those people haven't even come on yet, so to speak. Yeah. When I think about those things, I always think about it more from biology than I do from culture itself. There's a little bit of a trap when it comes to culture and being too, well, the students will get angry. I'm like, yeah, you can't have a culture without having a cult. You can't have a cult without having a guru, which is the leader that tells you what to do. The divinely inspired, you know. And I'm like, I don't, but they want it. They want somebody to lead.
Yeah. Fun. Yay for hierarchies. Monarchies. Wait, hierarchies. Anyways, is this a good place to put the pause on?
It reminds me of episode with Tony Bourdain, and I think they were in Canada, and somebody like toasted to the Queen, and Tony was just like, "Fuck the monarchy, bro!" Like he just wasn't having any of it, and I'm like, "Ooh."
That's awesome.
Like, I mean, he was a hero of sorts. I understand why, but it's like, like, I don't remember where he was, but I have a tendency to like, especially if I've been somebody else's country or land, like I just kind of go with the flow and try not to throw weight around, you know, as a tourist, I guess, a traveler. So, you have to head out here soon. Any more thoughts on like? Because we pretty much covered what we thought about like cooperatives, but like colonization and like in the massage industry, like decolonize your massage practice. You have other thoughts about it?
I mean, what don't I have thoughts about? But as far as like, I am kind of like short on time, but yeah, I mean, we can always pick up again on another time. I'm gonna sit with more of that, but
all right. Well, I'll put this out and enrage the massage industry.
Sounds great. Can't wait. Let me know. I'll share it.
All right. So can you tell people where they can find you real quick?
Yeah. You can find me at Instagram, _in_nalgas, NALGAS. I'm also on Blue Sky, same Ni and Nalgas, and my website, which I do have. I'm working on more content with Next Level Pain Relief on the mat work, and that's www.in, just the letter N, nalgas.com.
Yeah, I'll make sure to put a link down below.
Thanks.
Cool. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Robert Gardner Wellness Podcast. We'll be here to laugh, cackle, and complain about capitalism till the end of time. Yes.
Until the end of time.
See you guys soon.